Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
On July 10th, 2024, actor Alec Baldwin found himself seated at the defense table in a courthouse in Santa Fe, New Mexico. A few years prior, on October 21st, 2021, Alec was filming for an upcoming movie, an independent Western called Rust. According to court testimony, while filming a scene, a gun that was supposed to have dummy rounds in it instead contained a live round. And when it went off, it tragically killed 42-year-old cinematographer Helena Hutchins and injured the film's director, Joel Souza. Alec Baldwin had been the one holding the gun.
I take the gun out, and as it clears, as the barrel clears the hole, I turn and cock the gun over here. I turn and cock the gun goes off.
After the shooting, an investigation began, with investigators trying to figure out how exactly this could have happened. Among the many questions, perhaps one of the most important was, how did live rounds make their way onto the set? In episode 272, we covered the trial of the film's armorer, the person responsible for handling the weapons on set, 24-year-old Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. Hannah was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. The film's first assistant director, David Halls, pleaded no contest to negligent use of a deadly weapon. He was sentenced to 6 months unsupervised probation. Alec Baldwin was also charged with involuntary manslaughter, and his trial started just a few weeks ago as of this recording, in July 2024. But in a shocking twist for those of us watching, the trial didn't reach any sort of expected conclusion.
Dismissal with prejudice is warranted to ensure the integrity of the judicial system and the efficient administration of justice. Your motion to dismiss with prejudice is granted.
Alec Baldwin ended up leaving the courtroom on day 3, a free man. So, how did that happen? Today's episode is a bit different than normal. Instead of telling you what evidence the prosecution presented, what evidence the defense presented, and then asking if you agree with the verdict, you'll see how in mid-trial, things take quite a different turn. And I believe a fascinating one, legally speaking. I had quite a few people reach out asking me to cover this one, wanting to know what exactly happened. So, here we go. This is Jillian in partnership with Law and Crime. You are listening to Court Junkie, episode 274. I'm always looking for ways to get myself to drink more water, whether it's to carry around one of those really big drink holders or using one of those reminder cups that tell you that you should be drinking this much by 1 p.m., this much by 3 p.m. As you likely know, drinking water is important to staying hydrated and healthy. But if you're like me, you'd probably rather not drink tap water. After all, according to extensive research by the Environmental Working Group, 3 out of 4 homes in America have harmful contaminants in its tap water. That's why you've got to check out AquaTrue. AquaTrue purifiers use a 4-stage reverse osmosis purification process, and their countertop purifiers work with no installation or plumbing. That's the type that we have at home. It removes 15 times more contaminants than ordinary pitcher filters. And if you don't want the countertop version, they have water purifiers that fit every type of home, including higher capacity ones that go underneath your sink. They even have a Wi-Fi connected purifier and alkaline mineral options. The technology AquaTrue uses is the same technology used by all the major bottled water brands, but now it's available in your home without the plastic waste. And the filters are affordable and long-lasting. Instead of having to change them every 2 to 3 months, AquaTrue filters last from 6 months to 2 years. And I saved the best part for last. The water tastes amazing, and I can really notice a difference. I've been drinking more water, and so have my husband and our kids. And with AquaTrue, I know that it's not just filtered, but purified. AquaTrue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and even makes a great gift. Today, Court Junkies receive 20% off any AquaTrue purifier. Just go to aquatrue.com. That's AQUATRU.com and enter the code COURT at checkout. That's 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier when you go to aquatrue.com and use the code COURT. Get a drive-through coffee. Watch half an episode of reality TV. Take a shower. All things you could do instead of a diaper run because you have a Hello Bello subscription. Hello Bello believes all families deserve premium, affordable baby products. With their ultra-convenient diaper bundle subscription service that includes 7 packs of diapers and 4 packs of plant-based wipes, you'll never run out of supplies. Better yet, they're delivered right to your door. Set, change, and cancel your delivery schedule whenever you want. As a parent of a 1-year-old, I know how hard it is to remember to have everything you need to buy all the time. And let me tell you, this is a busy parent's dream. Named Best Diaper Subscription by New York Magazine and winner of the 2022 Good Housekeeping Parenting Award, Hello Bello will keep you well-stocked on diapers and wipes. Go to hellobello.com/court to get 30% off your first customized bundle and a full-sized freebie product of your choice. That's hellobello.com/court to start bundling with 30% off your first order. Don't forget, that's hellobello.com/court.
When someone plays make-believe with a real gun in a real-life workplace, and while playing make-believe with that gun violates the cardinal rules of firearm safety, people's lives are endangered, and someone could be killed. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what this case is about.
Alec Baldwin's trial started out normally with opening statements. Here's prosecutor Erlinda Ocampo Johnson.
The evidence will show that someone who played make-believe with a real gun and violated the cardinal rules of firearm safety is the defendant, Alexander Baldwin.
Prosecutor Johnson told the jury that in the fall of 2021, Rust began filming just south of Santa Fe, New Mexico. She said while it was a movie set, it was a real-life workplace for many people. But you will hear that it was a workplace on a tight budget, she said. Many of the workers were very inexperienced, including the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. She told the jury they will hear from crew members on the set who will testify that to them, Hannah's inexperience was obvious.
The evidence will show, ladies and gentlemen, that like in many workplaces, there are people who act in a reckless manner and place other individuals in danger and act without due regard for the safety of others. That, you will hear, was the defendant, Alexander Baldwin, the lead actor on this film.
She said Alec started working on the film about 2 weeks into filming, and that prior to him arriving on the set, he requested to be assigned the biggest gun available.
So he was assigned this revolver, a replica of an 1873 single-action revolver manufactured by Pieta Firearms in Italy. You will hear from Alessandro Pieta, who will tell you he manufactured this gun. And he will tell you he manufactured it in 2015. And he will explain the quality control measures that Pieta Firearms follows in order to ensure that firearms that are manufactured by Pieta Firearms don't have any problems or issues. Mr. Pieta will tell you that this firearm he himself manufactured, and that when Pieta sent it to EMF, which is the company that distributes firearms for Pieta Firearms in the United States, this gun was in perfect working condition.
She said in September 2021, a month prior to filming, an individual by the name of Seth Kenny, who owns a licensed firearms dealership, was contacted by the people from Rust Production and asked to provide some firearms for the filming. One of the guns he purchased was the one that ended up killing Helena Hutchins. Prosecutor Johnson told the jury that the only thing Seth Kenny did to the gun was to insert a firing pin, and that it was in perfect working order.
And on October 13th, 2021, the defendant was supposed to have a training session with this gun and this young armorer. But you will see that during this training session, the defendant had somebody or a couple of people filming him while he's running around shooting this gun. You will learn, ladies and gentlemen, or you'll hear during this trial the use of the words prop gun. And you'll learn a prop gun is this real gun. It's not a toy. It's not made of rubber. It's a real gun. You will also see evidence, ladies and gentlemen, that during the days before that fateful October 21st day, the defendant handled this firearm multiple occasions. You will see video footage of the defendant firing this firearm, working perfectly fine. But you'll see evidence, ladies and gentlemen, that each time the defendant handled this firearm, he did not do a safety check with that inexperienced armorer. And you'll hear that the reason he didn't do a safety check is because he didn't want to offend her.
She said the evidence the jury will see will paint a real-life picture of a real-life workplace where Alec Baldwin mishandled the gun.
You will see him using this gun as a pointer to point at people, to point at things. You will see him cock the hammer when he's not supposed to cock the hammer. You will see him put his finger on the trigger when his finger's not supposed to be on the trigger. You will hear about numerous breaches of firearm safety with this defendant and this use of this firearm. And the evidence will show that on the morning of October 21st, 2021, the camera crew walked off set. And you will learn that one of the reasons that camera crew walked out is because they were concerned over safety breaches with the use of firearms.
She said on the morning of October 21st, filming started out a couple hours behind schedule. In the morning, they filmed some scenes at a church, and one of those scenes required Alec Baldwin to pull out his gun and hold it. She said they would hear from a man named Kent Jorgensen, who's been involved in drafting movie set safety rules for years, and that those rules require actors to treat every firearm as though it's loaded, to never point the firearm at another person, and to never put your finger on the trigger unless you're prepared to shoot or to destroy whatever is in front of you.
The evidence will show that on October 21st, 2021, after that lunch break, the defendant once again violated those set safety rules. And during this blocking, the director had instructed him to just slowly take out that gun and just hold it at an angle. But you will see that the defendant takes it out quickly the first time, points it. And you will hear witness testimony who will tell you the first time he does it, his finger is on or around the trigger. He does it again, takes it out very fast, points it. And once again, you will hear testimony that his finger was on or around the trigger. And the evidence will show that that third and fatal time, he takes it out once again, fast, hammer's cocked, he cocks the hammer, points it straight at Ms. Hutchins, and fires that gun, sending that live bullet right into Ms. Hutchins' body. You will learn that this bullet was a .45 caliber round that entered Ms. Hutchins' body right underneath her right underarm. It perforated her right lung. It traveled through her spine, lacerating her spinal cord, and then it exited on the left side of her back. That bullet then went into Joel Souza's right shoulder, and it came to rest in his back, from where doctors removed it once he was transported to St. Vincent's Hospital here in Santa Fe.
She said in the aftermath of the shooting, Alec claimed that he did not pull the trigger.
The evidence will show, ladies and gentlemen, that's not possible. You will hear from Mr. Pieta himself, who will tell you that gun will not discharge without a pull of the trigger. You will hear from firearms experts who will tell you that gun will not discharge without a pull of that trigger.
She said after the shooting, law enforcement officials arrived at the scene and immediately took the gun into their custody. They then sent the gun and ammo that was taken from the set to the FBI for analysis. The gun was examined very carefully by a firearms examiner named Bryce Ziegler. He test-fired the gun 12 times, and each time when he pulled the trigger, it fired. Not once did the gun malfunction or discharge on its own, she said.
Now, the evidence will show that because the defendant had been claiming that he didn't pull the trigger, Mr. Ziegler suggested one last test to the Sheriff's Department. Mr. Ziegler told the Sheriff's Department that he could do what's called an accidental discharge test. He obtained authorization to do this test, and you will hear that he left that test for last because that test could potentially damage the gun. Mr. Ziegler went forward after he received this authorization and conducted the accidental discharge test. And you will hear, ladies and gentlemen, that during that test, a couple of the internal components of this firearm damaged. You will hear that the trigger sear and the full cock hammer notch were damaged during the accidental discharge testing. The evidence will show, however, that before this accidental discharge testing by the FBI, this gun functioned and worked perfectly fine.
She said by the end of the trial, the jury would be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that Alec Baldwin failed to do a safety check on the gun with the armorer, pointed the gun at another human being, cocked the hammer, and pulled the trigger.
In reckless disregard for Ms. Hutchins' safety, and you will be convinced that the only true and just verdict in this case, so that true justice can be served, is a verdict of guilty to involuntary manslaughter.
Alec Baldwin's attorney, Alex Spiro, went next. He called what happened to Helena Hutchins an unspeakable tragedy, but said Alec committed no crime.
He was an actor acting, playing the role of Harlan Rust. An actor playing a character can act in ways that are lethal, that just aren't lethal on a movie set. These cardinal rules, they're not cardinal rules on a movie set. And I don't have to tell you much more about this because you've all seen gunfights in movies. And the reason that can happen is because safety is ensured before the actor. On this movie set, there were people responsible for ensuring the safety of the set and the firearm. Those people failed in their duties, but Alec Baldwin committed no crime.
He said the real issue in this case is how a real bullet got on the movie set. Real bullets are never supposed to be on movie sets, he said. They use dummies and blanks for when you want a close-up of the gun. He said you can't tell them apart from live bullets by looking at them, which is why live bullets can be nowhere near a movie set.
And, they'll play these videos that they described of Alec's, firearm in the movie going bang, poof, and people are conditioned to seeing people firing weapons and thinking that's a dangerous act. That's a dangerous act. And they will play those videos and give you that image to try to tarnish him in your eyes. But that's not what happened here. On this set, there was a real bullet, something that should never be on a movie set, something which has nothing to do with making a movie. And you will hear no evidence, not one word, that Alec Baldwin had anything to do with that real bullet being brought onto that set.
He said the second critical issue in this case is why did a real bullet then get loaded into a prop movie gun?
It is undisputed that the bullet was loaded into the gun by the armorer, the person on set whose responsibility it was to ensure the gun was safe. And so picture that moment of the armorer placing a live bullet into that firearm. You hear the prosecutor say, he did this or he performed in a certain way. He picked out the biggest gun as his prop. It's to tarnish him in your eyes. You will hear no evidence whatsoever. No evidence that anything Mr. Baldwin did, that something he did in that moment, that horrible moment when she put that bullet in that gun, none of it had anything to do with Alec Baldwin.
He said it was the job of the first assistant director, David Halls, to check the gun before it goes to the actor. He said Halls will testify and tell them that he made a fatal mistake and didn't check. Alec Baldwin had nothing to do with that either, he said.
So all this evidence that the prosecutor just outlined, all of it, has nothing to do with these critical issues. Nothing. Which leads us to this. The evidence will show that on a movie set, safety has to occur before the gun is placed in the actor's hands. In this case, this unique case on a movie set, the prop gun was placed in Mr. Baldwin's hands and cold gun was announced, meaning it had been checked and double-checked by those responsible to ensure the gun was safe. It was just a prop. They all thought it was just a prop and could do no harm. The actor's job is to act, to rehearse, to choreograph his moves, to memorize his lines. He's Harlan Rust. He's an outlaw running for his life, who in the incident in question, he's pulling a six-shooter to try to defend himself. That's why the gun has to be safe before it gets into the actor's hands. His mind is somewhere else, in the being of another, a century away, an outlaw. He must be able to take that weapon and use it as the person he's acting would. To wave it, to point it, to pull the trigger like actors do, in ways that would be lethal in the real world, but are not lethal on a movie set.
He played a video for the jury of a take filmed prior to the shooting, where Alec is seated inside of a church, wounded while on the run. Suddenly, two actors playing the roles of U.S. Marshals enter.
Harlan Rust? Did you get up nice and slow tossing the weapons you have?
Alec is told by someone, presumably the director, to draw his gun. Alec asks which way, and then clarifies, so whip it out. He says, okay, let me get this ready, and adjusts his holster on his side. Okay, ready, he says. He pauses a moment. Harlan Rust, one of the actors playing a U.S. Marshal, can be heard saying. Alec whips out the gun. The director then says he wants him to do it again. They want him to do it again, Spyro told the jury. There's no danger. Alec does it again. Nice, someone can be heard saying.
It's a scene similar to scenes we've all seen in movies and television, performed by thousands of actors. And the scene that continues after lunch is the same scene. It's just not, unfortunately, captured on videotape. And the scene they envisioned and acted out, that prop gun was positioned in the afternoon so close to the camera that you could see inside, that you could feel it. You could feel that it was loaded. And it was loaded, of course, with dummies. Dummies to make it look like a real gun. But this one time, one of those dummies was a real bullet. The real bullet was not known to anyone in that church. Amongst the actors, directors, and crew in the scene, Everyone was doing exactly how they go about their business every day on a movie, not as if some lethal element had been included in the environment. You will see creativity and movement and everyone talking and vibrant. No one had any idea that this venomous, toxic element had been inserted into this magic they were creating. But it did. It entered that place. It killed an amazing person. It wounded another, and it changed lives forever.
He told the jury the investigation revealed that Alec was practicing pointing the weapon in the scene with guidance and instruction from Helena Hutchins and Joel Souza. Then the gun went off.
Everybody's shocked. Alec is startled. He immediately says, I didn't mean to shoot I didn't pull the trigger. Immediately. What the hell just happened? They collectively exclaim. Shock turns to panic. 911 is called.
He played the 911 call, where the caller said they need ambulances and that 2 people were shot accidentally on set with a prop gun. The AD, the caller says, it was his responsibility. Not a word about Alec Baldwin, Spyro said. He said immediately afterwards, everyone tried to figure out what had happened while they were waiting for help.
The armorer is yelling, sorry. Hall's the first assistant director is panicked. The prop master, Sarah Zachary, I don't know exactly where she is at that point, but they check the gun feverishly. They take the ammo out of the gun. They look at it. What the heck happened? They go back to the prop cart that houses the ammo. They're touching the gun and manipulating the gun, emptying it. They go and move some stuff off the prop cart, trying to figure it out. Sarah Zachary, the head of props, will tell you she threw some stuff out. And eventually, of course, EMS and police arrive pretty soon thereafter. And Helena Hutchins and Joel Souza, the director, are transported to the hospital where Helena tragically passes away. So police enter the scene. They have lapel cameras. Thank God they have lapel cameras. You want to see what happens? The evidence will show you can play the videotape. Want to see if they take the right gun? Play the videotape. Want to make sure what the people said or did they're remembering correctly? Play the videotape. And so they immediately recover the prop gun and they secure it. That's off to the side. And the reason that you preserve things in the moment is so that you know what existed in the moment, the evidence in the moment, the people and the witnesses and what they said in the moment. These folks, the members of Rust, they'd never been through anything like this before. That is why what they originally said matters so much in this case. If you remember anything I say today as the evidence proceeds, remember that. Look at the evidence of what the people of Rust said and did that day.
He said the prop cart and prop ammo were manipulated by investigators as they were trying to figure out what happened. He said as they were doing this, they started to make some mistakes. No one had ever investigated a case like this before.
They recover the prop gun, but they don't wear gloves. They don't have the prop car inside the crime scene. Someone moves it onto the crime scene. People start touching it and showing, okay, this is a dummy, this is a blank. And then they make another mistake that matters in this case with some more significance, which is that they don't secure the prop truck that houses the cart. See, that cart that they roll off comes from a truck where all of the ammunition, all of the firearms are, and that's where they're stored. They don't secure the prop truck for several days. And then the prop house that supplies the truck, that supplies the cart, they don't secure for over a month. A lot of mistakes. They had never investigated a case in a movie set. But they had the prop gun. That was key. And so they needed to figure out where the live bullet came from. They had the shell casing, Starline brass. That's the sort of make. You'll hear that phrase, Starline brass. And the police were right to focus on that. That was the lethal element. And so they work outward. Makes good enough sense. Folks around the ammo and the gun to be interviewed at the precinct. The armorer at the precinct. She loaded the live bullet. Hall's head of safety. He double-checked. And Alec walks up to the police. You'll see this early today. And he says, I'm here, whatever you want to do, whatever you need me to do. Just tell me where to go. And Sarah Zachary, the prop master who threw out the stuff at the cart, they missed her that night to bring to the precinct. But the rest of them at the precinct. And thankfully, we have the lapel cameras.
He said the remaining witnesses from inside the church were interviewed on the scene by the lead detective. He said the witnesses all said the gun was checked, double-checked, and that Alec was just rehearsing his movements. No one saw him intentionally pull the trigger.
Alec took the gun from those charged with its safety. He did not tamper with it. He did not load it himself. He did not leave it unattended. It completed his costume and his character. It was an actor handling a prop and integrating it into the character of Harlan Rust. There was a dedicated professional there, off camera, whose sole sacred responsibility was that prop safety. And Dave Halls, the head of safety, was there by her side. Everyone relied on that. And it was tragic that they let them down.
He said law enforcement continued their investigation. They needed to find where the live bullet came from, the lethal element. They executed a search warrant on the church. There was no further answer. They executed a warrant on the prop truck a week later. Seth Kenny, the supplier, was there, as well as Sarah Zachary, the prop master. They walked law enforcement through what was there, but still, no answer about that lethal bullet.
And, this case then takes on, all this pressure. The media begins swirling. Where is the lethal bullet? How did it get on that movie set? And what about that actor, Alec Baldwin, who had nothing to do with why the bullet got on the movie set? And so police and prosecutors, they work hand in hand, meeting after meeting, trying to find the lethal bullet, meeting with Seth Kenny, meeting with Sarah Zachary, the prop master, the supplier. Where is it? And about a month after the incident, Sarah Zachary finally sits down with law enforcement to answer some questions. And she explains to them that she threw away some stuff. She disposed of some stuff. And the prosecutors and police keep meeting, swirling media. And then at that point, they go to the last step, right? Done the cart, gone to the truck, met with Sarah Zachary, and they go execute a search warrant on, as the prosecutor told you, PDQ, the prop house. And again, Seth Kenny's there to greet them, let them in, and they don't find the lethal bullet. They never did. They never did. And as things roll into police and prosecutors, cell phones and photos and forensics, looking for this shiny object, they found another shiny object. Instead of trying to find the source of the lethal bullet, they focused on Mr. Baldwin.
He said Alec has been doing this for 40 years.
He has habits, and there are also SAG guidelines that tell actors what to do and what not to do. And the SAG guidelines don't tell actors to check the gun. You will see them. That's not the actor's role. And so I guess the point that they're trying to make is that why in this specific moment he doesn't break his habit of 40 years and check it differently and sort of insult them this one time. If he had done that and started playing with the gun in that way, they'd be saying, arrogant actor, why is he doing that? So they will play these statements, Alec's statements. You're going to hear a man in shock and grief, a father, an artist, worried about his family. You hear he's, on one of the calls, he's going to meet with the decedent's family, the Hutchins family, and he's upset about that. He will talk to law enforcement. He will call them. He doesn't need a lawyer. He didn't commit a crime. He will call them and offer to meet and speak over and over again.
He said what the armorer did was clear and proven. The head of safety took responsibility for his role. But Alec, he said, committed no homicide.
Did he let the hammer down when he cocked it? Did he hit the trigger? Did he, in a calculated manner, as the prosecutor made a motion, fire the gun like that? And when this issue is discussed, it's easy to sort of pull yourself into courtroom land and away from a movie set. On a movie set, you're allowed to pull the trigger. So even if he intentionally pulled the trigger like the prosecutor just demonstrated, that doesn't make him guilty of homicide. He did not know or have any reason to know that gun was loaded with a live bullet. That's the key. That live bullet is the key. That is the lethal element.
Spiro then took issue with how investigators destroyed the gun when they were testing it.
They eliminate the one item that could prove what Alex said and believed. They didn't offer him a chance to test the gun. They didn't take the gun apart before they broke it and destroyed it and look at its inner workings. They didn't turn on their videotape. They just destroyed it. Can't ever be tested in the same condition it was in that day. Won't ever allow Alec to show his truth. And the destruction of this gun that you will hear in this evidence is symbolic of this entire case. Because the officers will tell you at that point, they weren't really investigating anymore. They were trying to disprove Alec, to get Alec.
He said because the prosecution can't prove that Alec knew there was a live bullet in the gun, they're focusing on other things that have nothing to do with what happened that day. He said what happened was not foreseeable, which it would have to be for the jury to find Alec Baldwin guilty. I don't know about you all, but when I find loungewear that I can wear even outside the house, I am sold. And if it's comfortable and soft, I'm in love. And that's how I feel about SKIMS Soft Lounge Collection. I finally got my hands on their Soft Lounge long slip dress, and it is perfection. It's fitted, yet comfortable, and I can wear it whether I'm lounging around at home, having friends over, or even going out to a restaurant. The best part is that no one even knows it's a lounge dress. I also have the Soft Lounge tank and Soft Lounge fold-over pant, and I love to wear this set from the time I get ready in the morning till I go to bed at night. I run errands in it, I pick up my daughter from summer camp, I go shopping. You get the idea. I also like to mix and match these two. Like the lounge tank actually goes great with a pair of jeans. Shop the SKIMS Soft Lounge Collection at skims.com. Now available in sizes extra, extra small through 4X. If you haven't yet, be sure to let them know I sent you. After you place your order, select Court Junkie in the survey and select my show in the drop-down menu that follows. That's at skims.com. You don't just live in your home. You live in your neighborhood as well. So when you're shopping for a home, you want to know as much about the area around it as possible. Luckily, Homes.com has got you covered. Each listing features a comprehensive neighborhood guide from local experts. Everything you'd ever want to know about a neighborhood, including the number of homes for sale, transportation, local amenities, cultural attractions, unique qualities, and even things like median lot size and a noise score. Homes.com. We've done your homework. On day one of the trial, prosecutors called multiple investigators to the stand to testify about what happened when they responded to the scene. Body camera from Officer Nicholas LaFleur with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office was played for the jury. In it, Officer LaFleur walks over to Alec Baldwin, who's on his cell phone. Alec immediately puts it down to talk to him. Alec tells him that he was the one who had been holding the gun and asks what he needs. After conferring with another officer, the officers decide to keep Alec away from everyone else. Officer LaFleur has him sit where he is and tells him he doesn't want him to talk to anyone else. Alec smokes a cigarette while he waits. Prosecutor Carrie Morrissey stopped the video at one point where Alec can be seen speaking to other witnesses. Officer LaFleur testified that having Alec sit there wasn't really an ideal way to separate witnesses, but that's what happened. Prosecutor Morrissey continued to play the video. Alec and the others continued to talk about what happened.
Officer, do you know what this conversation is about that we're watching right here?
Something about a shake test. I don't know. Maybe the rounds, dummy rounds, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not too entirely sure.
Do you agree with me that, well, was Mr. Baldwin supposed to be talking about the incident?
No, ma'am.
Officer LaFleur said that as time went on, he told them to stop talking. Prosecutor Morrissey asked if they followed his instructions, and he said no. On cross, Alec's attorney, Alex Spiro, asked if Alec had asked how Helena was doing as they were sitting there. He said yes. Spiro remarked that he doesn't remember Prosecutor Morrissey asking that on direct. Officer LaFleur agreed. He admitted he made mistakes at the scene, including letting the witnesses talk to each other. He was also asked about what he wrote regarding Alec's demeanor in his report. Here's Spiro quoting him.
And the truth of the matter is, that you took it as a way how everybody was acting and that the individual who claimed to have been holding the firearm was still there, that there was the way he was, his demeanor was that there wasn't any intention behind the act, as you could say. Isn't that true?
I wouldn't say there was no intention. I don't know the individual's intentions, but his demeanor was sad, upset.
2 other officers testified about collecting evidence. One collected the gun and ammo from the set and gave the items to the crime scene technician, Marissa Popple. Another collected the bullet at the hospital after doctors removed it from Joel Souza. He, too, turned it over to Marissa Popple. And then Marissa Popple took the stand. She was asked some questions about dummy rounds and how someone would know that a dummy round with a ball bearing in it is actually inert. She said they would shake it and it would make a rattle noise. She testified that many of the rounds she took to the sheriff's office made that noise. She said she also collected another type of ammunition from the set, called a blank, which is a round of ammunition that has gunpowder in it but doesn't have a projectile head on the top. She described it as having a crimped end, like a dumpling.
When you collected all of this ammunition, you took it back to the sheriff's department?
Yes.
And at some point, did you examine closely all of the ammunition?
Yes.
And did you develop any suspicions?
Yes.
What suspicions did you develop?
There were several rounds that, when shaken, did not make the rattle noise, and they all had a silver in color primer at the end instead of a brass colored primer.
And did the primer appear to be intact?
Yes.
And did those have a hole in the side?
No.
You indicated that you had some suspicions about them. What was your suspicion?
My suspicion was that they were live rounds.
She said she sent them to the FBI for further testing. She said she suspected there was another live round that was recovered in an ammo box that was taken from the prop cart.
Let me ask you this. How many rounds altogether did you discover that you thought were suspected live rounds on the set of Rust?
5 and the spent casing, so 6 in total.
She was asked if she was involved in conversations with the FBI about testing the gun.
I believe I was part of that conversation, yes.
Okay. And so was additional testing of this gun requested at the FBI?
Yes.
And do you recall generally what that requested testing was?
I'm uncertain as to what they phrase it as, but I believe it was a drop test.
Okay.
Was requested.
And what did you intend them to test for?
That the firearm, whether or not it would be able to go off without the trigger being pulled, I believe.
Okay. And did you send some of the boxes of ammunition to the FBI?
Yes.
Why?
We sent all of the suspected rounds, suspected live rounds, to determine if they were in fact live rounds. One additional round was sent that did not make a sound to determine whether or not it was a dummy round.
On cross, she agreed that the gun was a critical piece of evidence. Alec's attorney, Alec Spiro, asked her if they investigated whether a third party was responsible for the live rounds being brought onto the set, and she agreed. That was a big part of their investigation.
Your working theory, as you evaluated the ammunition and looked at the similarity between the Starline nickel live and the Starline nickel dummies, is that they could have been easily commingled. Fair?
Yes.
In other words, somebody could have mistaken one for the other. Right?
Yes.
Spiro pointed out that you can't always tell the difference between a dummy round and a live round.
And there were different types of dummy rounds, as I think you said on direct. But you can't tell necessarily that a dummy round is a dummy round just by looking at it.
Not always, no.
Some dummy rounds have holes in them, right?
Yes.
Others have their primers removed.
Yes.
Some of them do not have holes in the side or their primers removed.
Correct.
Some of them don't make a noise when they're shaken, called Denex rounds.
Yes.
And some dummy rounds look exactly like live rounds, correct?
Yes.
And those look exactly like live ammunition. Fair?
Yes.
And those type of exact replica dummy rounds were on the set of Rust, right?
Yes.
And those were Seth Kenney's dummy rounds, right?
Yes.
She said she recovered boxes of ammunition from when they executed their search warrant on the prop truck. Spyro put a photo of the ammunition on the screen. She identified one box that looked different than the others. It had dummy rounds written on it. She said Seth Kenney, the licensed firearms dealer, had written that. She testified that no live ammunition was found on the prop truck.
So I want to ask you something, Investigator Popple. Did that surprise you?
No, not necessarily.
Well, you've got all this, you're finding these live rounds all over the set, right?
Yes.
Sort of seem to be a little bit of everywhere without much cohesion between where you're finding them, right?
Yes.
And they're housed originally in the prop truck, right?
Yes.
And so you go a week later to the prop truck, which has all the ammunition, right?
Yes.
And there's not a single live round there, right?
Correct.
Why did law enforcement wait a week to go to the prop truck?
The search warrant needed to be written. I'm not sure of why the time difference occurred exactly.
She testified that the dummy rounds from Seth Kenney looked a little different than the live ammunition that was found on set. Spyro showed her a photo of the ones from Seth Kenney's box.
There's something important about this picture, isn't there?
Yes.
Doesn't that Seth Kenney round look exactly like the live round?
Under a camera flash, I suppose it could.
Well, I don't know about suppose it could. I mean, we'll look at the shell casing, Exhibit 28. And we'll go back. 827. We can go back. States 28. Don't you think they look an awful lot alike?
They look similar, yes, but I can still see differences.
Spyro again clarified with her that investigators were trying to figure out the source of the live ammunition. She agreed. He then asked her about Seth Kenney walking into the precinct one day and turning over more ammunition.
You remember that, right?
I do.
That was... Did you think Mr. Kenney was being helpful?
I believe so, yes.
I mean, were you suspicious at all of that?
That was not my place to be suspicious of him. I hadn't had much interaction with him.
Yeah, I mean, it may not have been your place to, but I'm just asking you if after this point, Seth Kenney, comes knocking on the precinct and shows you all some rounds, whether or not that
asked and answered.
I don't believe it was.
Overruled.
I'm just asking whether it's your place to be or not. I'm just asking when the man showed up and just presented ammunition to the precinct, did that make you suspicious at all?
No.
Well, let me ask you this. I bet it didn't surprise you that he didn't turn in the exact matching lethal ammunition, did it?
No, I wasn't surprised by that.
She agreed that Seth came in and gave her two types of ammunition: spent shell casings, which were Starline brass nickel primer, and live ammo that were not Starline brass.
You know that if Seth Kenney provided the live ammunition to the set, that's worse for Seth Kenney, right?
It's worse for whoever provided it, yes.
I agree. So, but as members of law enforcement, you all know that the person who provided that would have a motive to not be found, true?
Yes.
So you headed to execute a search warrant at Seth Kenney's prop house, right?
Yes.
And a judge signed off on that search warrant, correct?
Yes.
Because you had probable cause to believe that there was live ammunition that matched the ammunition that killed Miss Hutchins, right?
Yes.
She was asked if Seth Kenney was a person of interest, and she said yes.
And you even found out that the day before Seth Kenney provided the dummies to Rust, he had in his possession live Starline brass nickel primer from 1883, correct?
I don't recall it being the day before, having that information personally.
Well, so let's leave the day before right now. You knew and understood that Seth Kenney had recently been in possession of Starline brass nickel primer live, correct?
I don't know that it was that specific, just that he was in possession of live ammunition in a recent point.
She agreed that she sent the live ammo from the set and the live ammo from PPQ, Seth's prop house, to the FBI for testing. She testified that when she compared the powder, they didn't look the same. She was asked if she ever figured out how the live ammo got onto the Rust set.
I do not have any physical evidence to show where the live rounds originated from.
She agreed that there is zero evidence that Alec brought a live round onto the set and that he loaded that live round into that gun. She also agreed that Alec told investigators that Joel Souza had called him from the hospital and that he wanted them to go there and retrieve the bullet. She said they already had officers there, but yes, he had wanted them to do that.
And he told you that he pulled the gun out, he turned, and he just cocked the gun, right?
He did state that, yes.
He didn't say he pulled the trigger, right?
I don't recall him saying that.
And you never tested the hammer of that gun for DNA, did you?
I do not know the FBI lab's process for processing a firearm for DNA.
She again agreed that it was a priority for investigators to try and find the source of the lethal ammunition. Was it from Seth Kenney? Then, Spyro asked her about something that had happened following the guilty verdict of the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. Now, this next part is important to how this trial then takes quite a turn.
After the Hannah Gutierrez trial, there was an individual that came to the police station and stated they had ammunition.
And they turned in the ammunition?
Yes.
And they gave it to you, right?
Yes.
And they told you that this was the ammunition that ended up with Seth Kenney that killed Miss Hutchins, right?
I do not recall all of their statements.
Who did you tell about that?
During that conversation, my Lieutenant Brian Brandel, was with me, and Detective Hancock was aware of that individual, that he had come to the sheriff's office. And
you never vouchered that and turned it over to the defense, did you?
It was a doc information situation.
I don't know what that means. Can you just explain it to me?
Meaning that I was instructed by my lieutenant to create a doc info report on it.
And I mean, what does that mean?
It means we're documenting information that this individual came and gave this ammunition to us.
Okay, but you didn't, I mean, he told you it had to do with the Rush shooting, correct?
Yes.
And he told you actually that he was a police officer in a neighboring county, right?
I believe he said he was a retired police officer, yes.
And he told you you all had been duped by Seth Kenney, didn't he? In words and substance, didn't he?
I don't recall that, no.
Okay. And he said to you, I'm willing to fill out a witness statement, right?
No, I don't recall that.
He told you that the rounds came from a green ammo can, didn't he?
Judge, I have to object to your say.
Sustained.
Did you take the rounds that were provided to you? By the way, they were Starline brass nickel primer live, weren't they?
I don't recall.
Spyro continued, saying that the Good Samaritan, a man named Troy Teskey, told her that the reason he was coming in was because he didn't trust law enforcement on this case. He then asked why she didn't inventory these bullets and put them with the other evidence in the Rust case.
I was instructed to put this in as a doc information case, which I did, and it is under that case number.
You buried it?
No.
Your lieutenant?
There is a supplemental report on it, and that was placed into evidence.
Did you ever turn that over to the defense?
I have not turned over anything to the defense. My information goes through the sheriff's office.
Are you aware of whether the sheriff's office ever informed the defense that a good Samaritan came in and turned in this ammunition?
I do not know.
When the defense came to view the Starline brass, nickel, primer, live ammunition with you, you didn't show them this, did you?
I did not have an evidence viewing with the defense. That was my coworker.
Your coworker didn't show this to the defense, correct?
I do not know.
Do you have any reason to believe your coworker showed this to the defense, given that it wasn't put in the same inventory as the Rust case?
No.
She was asked if she or anyone from the sheriff's office ever told Hannah Gutierrez Reed or her attorneys that a good Samaritan had come in and given them this evidence. She said she doesn't know.
But you do agree he did tell you that Seth said this was the evidence from the shooting, correct?
I don't recall what he stated, what someone else stated.
And you told him he didn't have to write a witness statement. Law enforcement was going to type up a report on it today, right?
I never stated any such thing about a witness statement.
He offered to provide a written witness statement so that it was clear. Did he not?
I do not recall that happening.
Okay. Did you give him assurances that you would type up a report on it?
I don't recall providing assurances to him.
Did you tell him that you would write up a report on it?
I don't recall doing that either.
Do you deny it?
No.
So when you testified earlier that you never found the ammunition that killed Miss Hutchins, that wasn't true either, was it?
Can you rephrase the way you stated that?
Sure. As you sit here today, having had a good Samaritan turn in these 45 rounds into the precinct, right?
If that's what you're discussing, then.
Yeah. You don't know whether or not you have in your possession the live rounds that killed Miss Hutchins, do you?
The live round that killed Miss Hutchins has been fired. Are you asking me about a connection between those live rounds and other ones?
I'm asking you, as we've talked about at great length, whether or not you withdraw it. I'm asking you, isn't it the case that law enforcement likely has the matching rounds to the ammunition that killed Miss Hutchins?
I do not know.
And you do not know because you made a doc report about this and did not put it with the rest of the Rust evidence, correct?
Those rounds were not placed with the rest of the Rust evidence, correct?
Nor were they sent to the FBI for testing with the Rust evidence, were they?
No, they were not.
I have no further questions for this witness this time.
After Marissa Popple's testimony on the night of night 2 of Alec Baldwin's trial, the defense filed a motion to dismiss, accusing prosecutors of withholding evidence from them. On day 3 of the trial, according to media reports, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was set to testify. But the trial would instead be sidelined. The jury sent home for the day, while the judge held a hearing on the defense's motion to dismiss. At first, it didn't seem that was going to be the way the day would unfold, however. The defense even had another issue to bring up.
And I get many sort of inbound emails that I don't obviously read everyone or take everyone seriously, but I got one last night that indicated that the cameras are catching Miss Morrissey signaling witnesses while they're on the witness stand. And, I really...
Did you look to see if that was true?
I was sent a photograph that concerned me. And I felt obligated. And like I said to the court, I try to not make these issues. This is a high pressure case. I've been in many. There have been more issues in this case than I have ever seen in all of those cases combined. And so I'm sort of at a loss, but to bring it to the court's attention.
But even that was sidelined, as the Judge Mary Marlowe Summer, dove into the defense's motion to dismiss that they had filed. Another one of Alec's attorneys, Luke Nikes, spoke to the judge about that. He told her he wanted to first give her a bit of a background. He said on November 1st, 2021, shortly after the shooting, Seth Kenney was on the phone with Corporal Hancock, the lead investigator on the case. On that call, Seth Kenney said he believes he knows where the live bullet came from. He then dialed in a man named Troy Teskey, who then told Corporal Hancock that Thel Reed, Hannah Gutierrez's father, dropped off a batch of the live ammunition at Troy's business because he had a safer place to store it. After that, Thel showed up again, grabbed the ammunition, and left some behind. Seth told Corporal Hancock that could be from the same batch that killed Helena Hutchins. Troy Teskey said he would take a picture of the leftover ammunition and send it to them, which he did. Corporal Hancock did not preserve the ammunition at Troy's property. 2 years later, on November 2nd, 2023, Prosecutor Morrissey questioned Troy Teskey more about the live ammo he said he was given by Thel Reed. She asked him if he still had it, and he said some of it, but that he had been out shooting some of it over the last 2 years because no one had told him to preserve it. Prosecutor Morrissey told him to preserve what he has left. She asked him if he thinks there's any evidence that this could have been sabotage. And here's where I'll let Attorney Nikes continue explaining.
And he says, well, actually, Seth Kenney called me while Rust was shooting, telling me he wanted to get Hannah Gutierrez-Reed fired. But he didn't know how to do it because he was concerned about upsetting Thel Reed, significant armor in the business, as Your Honor knows. And so he says, I don't have evidence that there was sabotage, but that's what I know, and I still have this ammunition. Ms. Morrissey says, you hold on to that evidence, and I'll come get it, in essence. She never does. November 2023. Fast forward to March 6, 2024. The end of Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's trial. Teskey's in Santa Fe. Sees what happens, shows up at the sheriff's office, as we heard from Ms. Popple, and delivers that live ammunition that Hancock had not preserved, that Ms. Morrissey had not collected, that he believed could be from the same batch, from that same green ammo can that we care about, that matched the bullet that killed Helena Hutchins. We heard, Your Honor, what Ms. Popple did with it. They buried it. I'd like to say charitably that it was under the pile of the 5501 information that they didn't disclose, but that's even too charitable because they put it under a different case with a different number. We asked March 26th, we want all of the ammunition from the Rust set that you've collected. April 16th, we show up for that viewing. We want all the live ammunition from the Rust set that you collected. It's not there. After Teskey had turned it in, after Ms. Popple had created the report, the supplemental report she said she created when she took this in and did not disclose to us, it was not there. Now, Your Honor, we don't know if it's a live ammunition match or not. But what we do know is the state had it. It's disclosable under Giglio. It's disclosable under 5501.
He said this was critical evidence in the case that was never turned over to them. He said it doesn't even matter if the bullets are a match or not. They are entitled to it.
A continuance is not a sufficient remedy. This case should be dismissed, Your Honor.
The judge then asked to hear from Prosecutor Carrie Morrissey. Prosecutor Morrissey said there were no violations made by prosecutors. She told the judge that Troy Teske is Thel Reed's friend and that he stores Thel's ammunition because Thel lives in a small place. He doesn't have much security with all of his firearms, whereas Troy does. She said when she came onto the case, she looked at the ammunition found at PDQ, Seth Kenney's prop house, and knew that it was sourced by Thel Reed, Hannah's dad. She said it wasn't a match when she looked at them, nor when she sent them to the FBI for testing.
So this is a wild goose chase. This has no evidentiary value whatsoever. This is simply a man trying to protect his daughter, and he's doing it by providing information that doesn't even match. He's trying to provide evidence that doesn't even match the evidence that was found at the scene.
She said her pre-trial interview with Troy from November 2023 was uploaded to their server. Alec hadn't been indicted yet. She said after he was indicted, everything was then downloaded onto a hard drive and was provided to Alec's counsel. She said they didn't get the ammunition from Troy. She asked him to send her a photograph of it, which he did. She said the ammo in the photo was not the same ammo as the live round from Rust. Because of that, she decided it had no evidentiary value.
There is absolutely nothing about the ammunition that Troy Teske had that has any evidentiary value in the Gutierrez case. It has no evidentiary value in the Baldwin case. This feels like asking us to go to every sporting goods store, collect all of their .45 caliber ammunition, and send it off for testing. We're not required to do that. It simply doesn't have any evidentiary value, and the defense was aware of it.
She said Troy never said that the ammo he had was the same that had killed Helena. Instead, he said Seth Kenney had told him that. She said Seth then said he did not say that. She said the only way this could be relevant information was if it had some sort of exculpatory value, and it doesn't, she said. She said all the ammo in question came from the same place, and they had already sent a batch to the FBI. There was no reason to do that again. She told Judge Summer that she would be happy to call witnesses if her word of proof wasn't enough. Attorney Nikas then spoke again.
If this evidence wasn't as important as we say it is, they would have turned it over. The fact that they concealed it, the fact that they put it under a separate document number, didn't disclose the supplemental report, didn't disclose the bullets, didn't bring them to the April 6th evidentiary viewing. If it was that irrelevant, it had no evidentiary value, it would have been there, Your Honor, number one. Number two, Ms. Morrissey does not get to determine what has evidentiary value and what doesn't. 5501 says it's required to be disclosed, period, full stop.
Judge Summer said she wanted to hear from the crime scene technician, Marissa Popple, who then took the stand again. Immediately, Judge Summer said she wanted to view the ammo herself that Troy Teske had turned over. She cut open the evidence bag and moved from the bench to a table. She had Marissa Popple meet her there and then show her the ammo. Judge Summer picked them up and studied them. The audio was hard to hear, but Prosecutor Morrissey said something about them, and Judge Summer responded, "Well, that's your opinion." After she was done with her examination, she allowed the attorneys to ask questions. Alec's attorney, Alex Spiro, went first.
I'm just going to pass the witness up, because we're not fully set up, the copy of the spent shell casing that was recovered on the scene at Rough. And you would agree with me, right, that it's the same as the bottom of the bullets that you just provided to the court?
Yes, it's Starline Brass 45 Colt with a silver primer.
So when I asked you yesterday, didn't he turn in ammunition that matched the ammunition that killed Ms. Hutchins? It's true that he did, correct?
And I did not recall at that time.
I understand that that's your position, but that's what in fact happened. Would you agree?
I would not use the word match without there being an additional analysis.
Well, who got to decide whether there would be additional analysis?
That was not myself.
It wasn't the defense, though, right? We didn't know about it.
I don't know what you were aware of.
Okay. Well, you know that we came to have an evidence viewing where we asked to see every single round that could be related to the Rust set, and this was hidden from us. You do know that.
This was not hidden.
This was not hidden?
This was under a case number. It was documented. I was instructed to document it under this case number.
Okay, so in this case that's under the Rust investigation case number, you would agree with me there's hundreds of things that you inventoried, right?
Yes.
There are hundreds of police reports that all relate to the same case number, right?
Yes.
The one thing that seems to have been put under a different case number is just this one discovery of the actual ammunition that matches the ammunition from the set of Rust.
This was put under a doc information of someone coming in claiming to have rounds that were not utilized in a case.
Okay, well, let's examine that for a second. When Seth Kenny comes into the precinct and he gives you ammunition, you vouchered it, right?
I was instructed to collect the ammunition from Seth Kenny.
Well, let me take a step back for a second just to make something clear. Investigator Popple, you're following orders, right, when you're doing these things, correct?
Can you please stop referring to me as investigator because it's creating a misnomer?
Okay, well, how would you? I apologize.
I'm a crime scene technician. I'm not an investigator.
Okay, I'm only doing that because it's shorter than crime scene technician.
CST works.
Perfect. Okay, CST Popple. When you took the, you're effectively following orders when you're deciding whether to voucher this or voucher the Seth Kenny evidence, right?
You keep using the word voucher, and I'm not sure what context you're using it.
Yeah, I apologize for that word choice also. When you inventory and make a report, I think your testimony is you're doing it at the direction of supervisors. Is that fair?
Most of the time, yes.
Okay. So when Seth Kenny walks into the precinct and gives you ammunition and says it's from the Rust case, you all inventoried it, right?
Yes.
You took photos of it, right?
Yes.
You put it under the Rust case number, right?
Yes.
You turned it over to the defense, right?
According to my knowledge, yes.
Okay. Somebody else comes in to the precinct, okay? A man named Troy Teskey, right?
Yes.
Who was a former police officer, right?
I believe he stated that, yes.
Okay. And I assume you all have the diligence to be able to confirm that, right?
I do not know if it was confirmed or not.
Okay. And he comes in and he also tells you he has evidence, right?
He told us 3 years later after a trial that he had evidence that the defense wanted him to use that he no longer wanted to hold on to.
She agreed that when Troy turned the ammo over, she recognized them to be the same type from the Rust set. She said she can't call it a match, however, because they weren't analyzed by the FBI. He asked when she made her report about it, and she said it was the following month. She said she had to go out of town to visit her dying mother. He then asked her about a particular sentence in her report and how it didn't appear to be written like her other reports.
You know, it's just, there's a funny sentence in it. It says, and it's a sentence I've never seen in a police report. You tell me if you've ever seen this in a police report in your entire career. It says, it should be noted that this is not actual evidence from the death investigation collected by SO detectives.
You are not reading my section of the report. You're reading what was written by Lieutenant Brian Brandel.
I was going to say, it doesn't look like you're writing. So the lieutenant writes in, thank you for clarifying that. I just got this report, as you know, right? The lieutenant writes in, it should be noted that this is not actual evidence from the death investigation collected by SFSO detectives. Did I read that right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. In your career, going back to when you were at CST in Florida, all the way through the present, have you ever seen such a sentence in a police report in your entire career?
Not that exact sentence, no.
Yeah, me neither.
Spyro moved on.
And as I asked you yesterday, you actually said when you were meeting with Mr. Teskey this is the ammunition that we've been looking for from the Rust set, didn't you?
I don't recall stating that.
But you're not denying that.
I'm not denying it.
So I don't know whether the most critical evidence in this case is the gun that was sent off to be destroyed or the round that killed Miss Hutchins. It probably is the round that killed Miss Hutchins. Would you agree with that those are probably the two most important pieces of evidence in this entire case?
I'm sorry. Can you please restate your long question?
Sure. Would you agree with me that the two most critical items in this case from an evidentiary perspective were probably the firearm in question and the live ammunition that struck Miss Hutchins, right?
I would say the firearm and the live ammunition from the set.
Okay. And so the firearm, which we've had hearings, discussions about, was ultimately broken beyond repair by law enforcement, right?
Was broken by the FBI lab.
Okay. And the report that was issued by the experts for the prosecution about that firearm and whether or not it had been modified before was buried also by the prosecutors, correct?
I do not know about that report.
Okay. And then we can turn to this second most critical piece of evidence in this case. And this was also buried by law enforcement, correct?
No.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
CST Popple was then questioned about the evidence viewing the defense had with prosecutors.
Nobody asked you to take this vouchered, sealed evidence out and show it to the defense, correct?
When the request was made, I believe they couldn't quite narrow down everything that they wanted to view. There was quite a bit.
Oh, so this was a narrowing down issue? The reason that this wasn't shown to the defense is a narrowing down issue?
No, I'm stating that they couldn't quite tell me in detail what they wanted to see.
The request from the defense of all ammunition was taken by law enforcement to not mean the ammunition that you recovered that matched the ammunition that struck Miss Hutchins?
I don't believe they looked at all the ammunition that day.
Well, no, but the request was all ammunition. So I'm asking you, did law enforcement interpret that request to not include this critical evidence?
All of the items that were pulled for the case were under the Rust case number.
Which was a perfect plan.
You're asking me if there was a plan?
Well, I'm saying whether there was or there wasn't, it worked out pretty well, right?
I'm not sure what you're getting at. There was a request to view the evidence from Rust. That is the evidence that was pulled.
Well, your report says this is evidence from Rust, and then it just puts it under a different case number, and the lieutenant then writes that sentence in saying this isn't evidence from Rust, right?
My report states that Mr. Teskey believed that it was related to Rust, and then I listed the case number next to that.
Before continuing on, Judge Summer and Prosecutor Morrissey discussed which witnesses she wanted to call next. Prosecutor Morrissey then revealed something rather surprising.
Well, what's interesting to me, to be quite honest, is that yesterday you didn't even want to do a written reply. You wanted to just give an oral response.
I never saw these. I've never seen these, and I never saw the report. Mm-hmm. I have absolutely never seen these until this morning.
All right.
I've never seen the report until this morning.
So ask questions of this witness, and then you can line up your witnesses, and I'll see.
Prosecutor Morrissey then questioned CST Popple.
Ms. Popple, I just presented to the court that I've never seen these until this morning. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
You've never shown me these, or I've never come in to see them. Is that right?
Correct.
Have you ever provided me that doc report?
No, I have not.
Okay. So, do you know who Troy Teskey is?
No, I do not.
I think we took some testimony from you yesterday that he is the friend of Thelreed.
I believe that was stated, but I did not know that information.
Okay, so let me ask it this way. If Troy Teskey, who provided this ammunition, is a friend of Hannah Gutierrez's dad, and if these bullets
I'd ask the prosecutor not to be touching those with her bare hands.
They rolled around for 3 years. Okay. If these bullets match the ones that were on the set of Rust, is that evidence, additional evidence, that Hannah Gutierrez provided the live ammunition to the set of Rust?
Yes.
And has she been convicted for that?
Yes.
Is this evidence that Seth Kinney provided live ammunition to the set of Rust?
No.
She asked her if they had buried the evidence. How did the defense attorney know to cross-examine her about it yesterday?
I do not know.
Do you have any idea when the defense attorneys learned about this ammunition?
No, I do not.
Do you know who they learned it from?
No.
Those are some important inquiries. Those are all the questions I have for Ms. Popple, but we'd like to take additional testimony.
Prosecutor Morrissey called now Corporal Alexandria Hancock to the stand. She said she tried to get the rounds from Troy Teskey, but he never sent them. Near the end of Hannah's trial, she said she received correspondence that Troy Teskey had come to the courthouse and had ammunition. He wanted to turn it over. She said she asked the deputy to have him wait there until she was able to go speak with him. She said he did not wait for her. He then went to the sheriff's office to give it to them. She said a lieutenant called her, and she told him she would make contact with Troy at a later time. She was still at trial. She learned he left some ammo at the sheriff's department. She said she called him twice, but he never called her back.
At the time that you were reaching out to him that day, do you have any idea whether or not this is related to the case?
Just by him saying it might be, but not in what context it would have been.
But you didn't speak to him?
No.
Okay. And is that the reason you were trying to reach him?
Yes. And should try to set up something where I could have a discussion or an interview with him.
And you want to have the interview because you want to see if it's tied to the case?
Yes.
She said she reached out a couple more times the following week, but couldn't get a hold of him.
So if you don't have a witness who will give you an interview regarding the items that they've dropped off at the sheriff's department, how do you know that they're in any way related to the case?
I really wouldn't, because I didn't have a discussion with him.
Has Mr. Teskey ever returned your calls?
No.
She was asked if she was aware that when Troy came to the sheriff's office, it was recorded on a body camera, and she said she just found that out.
And have you had an opportunity to review it?
Yes.
Never been given this, Your Honor.
I just got it. So
Okay, I just want the court to know.
I can give it to them.
This is the newest of the revelations.
So there's when Teskey comes into the station, it's being recorded on a body-worn camera?
I believe that the defense did have it because they knew what Mr. Teskey was saying to Popple. That's the basis of the cross-examination.
Well, it hasn't been admitted as an exhibit.
Sure, and I can call Popple and have it admitted as an exhibitor. I can call Brendel, but it's a motion hearing. How do you want me to handle it? She's now seen it. I can give it to the defense.
No, I'm going to have the person that whose body it was on.
As Prosecutor Morrissey was speaking, Alex Spiro stood up, shaking his head no, but then sat back down. Just for the record, Judge, we do not have the body cam video, he said. When it was his turn to question Corporal Hancock, he asked if the case would have gone differently if investigators had learned that a third party had intentionally placed a lethal bullet on set. She agreed. He asked her about her communications with Seth Kinney, and she agreed that she interviewed him about 10 times, spoke to him on the phone about 40 times, and exchanged text messages with him. He displayed one of those text messages between her and Seth.
And you see at the top, this is a screenshot that he's sending you, right?
Yes.
And you see it ends with, yup, it's evidence. Yup, it's evidence in the accidental death, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. And it talks about how it looks like it's been reloaded. And that's him telling you that, right?
Sorry, let me just read it really quick.
Sure.
Okay.
And you ask a very interesting question, Corporal, that sounds a lot like the question the court just asked you. You ask, do you think it could have come from the same batch since it's a different color? Right?
Yes.
And he says, in writing, in no uncertain terms, I thought the same thing regarding the primer, but Joe has been known to mix different color primers and blanks. So no, still highly likely that it's from the same batch. Did I read that right?
Yes.
And you had that information in the month following the incident, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
He asked if there were hundreds of items inventoried in this case, and she said yes.
Every time you inventory an item in this case, there's no matching witness statement, right?
No.
Right? You pick up there's dozens of items, dozens and dozens of items that you all inventoried in this case that have no matching corresponding witness statement, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the story that has now been come up with, that the only reason we couldn't take this item was because there wasn't a matching witness statement, is just spun out of whole cloth, isn't it?
I don't think your statement's entirely correct. You said the reason why we couldn't take this item, which we did take the item.
You took the item, but you took it and put it in a different box than the rest of the items in the Rust case, correct?
Well, I don't think they're all... I mean, I'm not the evidence technician, so I don't know how...
Well, you know this wasn't placed and designated as a Rust evidentiary matter. It was kept and vouchered, as you heard yesterday, under a completely separate identification number, correct?
A different case number.
Right?
Yes.
Unlike the hundreds and hundreds of other items that were collected in this case from a variety of sources, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And a lot of those items were like random, irrelevant, tangential things that all went into CST Popple's inventory in this case, right?
I think all those items were collected on scenes through search warrants or through somebody that gave them to us that we could have had a conversation with. And I could be able to relate what that item was and how it may have been related to Rust.
There was no way to relate this item to Rust from the guys in your precinct telling you this is related to Rust, and you had spoken to him on speakerphone and you had gotten those text messages. There's no way to relate it?
Again, I didn't get a statement from him when he's dropping off this ammunition and didn't see it because I wasn't there when he was dropping the ammunition off.
Well, your colleagues got a statement, didn't they?
Yes.
He asked if when she follows up with people when investigating cases, she includes that in a supplemental report. Tried to get a hold of so-and-so. He gave her an example.
In this case, this Rust case, okay, there are lots of police reports in this case that are in your file, even if you didn't personally create them, that indicate law enforcement attempting to contact witnesses and failing to reach them, correct?
That specifically.
You can't answer that question, yes or no?
Well, I'm explaining why that was.
I didn't ask why. I'm just asking. In your own file that you as the lead agent have, there are lots of police reports that say Detective so-and-so tried to reach somebody, couldn't reach them. Isn't that true?
In this case, yes. And that was done for a specific reason.
Okay. That's great. When you reached out, according to you were trying, moving heaven and earth to try to reach Mr. Teskey. Did you ever create a supplemental police report?
No.
Judge Summer had some follow-up questions.
So, did you and Popple have a conversation about what to do with this ammo?
To my understanding, it was that it was going to be put in evidence.
Which evidence?
At the sheriff's office.
The Rust evidence?
No.
Why not?
Just as far in our evidence section in the sheriff's office.
And why was that determination made?
As to why
who
it
made
was.
It? Let me ask you, who made it?
These were discussions that were had with myself, with the supervisors at that time, and then with the prosecutors.
Were you the lead investigator?
Yes.
Okay. And you said, and with the prosecutors?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you all had discussions About what to do with what he dropped off?
Yes.
And you all agreed to put it in this separate file?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just very, very brief follow-up on the court's questions. The defense requested, both through you and the prosecutors, to see all of the ammunition in this case, right?
Yes.
Okay. And obviously, and I know it's obvious, but I want to make sure it's in the record, we were not ever shown that, correct?
Well, I believe that you guys had a secondary evidentiary meeting with the sheriff's office that was canceled the day before the meeting was supposed to happen.
Well,
or an evidence showing, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, we were able to come for some showings and not others. The reality is when we came for showings, you never showed us this evidence, correct?
I don't know if I can agree with you there, because even on the first day that I was present at the evidence hearing, we didn't get through all the evidence that they wanted to see that day.
I don't have any more questions for this witness.
Let me ask you something. If Ms. Popple said it was not in the evidence viewing, would you disagree with her?
If this ammunition, sorry, I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
If what Troy Teskey dropped off was not in the evidence viewing because I can get the testimony, but they had a narrow. If Ms. Popple said it was not part of the evidence viewing, that you did not gather it for the evidence viewing, would you disagree with her?
I believe that we were sent a list of what they wanted to see, and then, Your Honor, the first day that we had done an evidence showing, we didn't get through everything.
That's not what I asked you.
And yeah, I understand what I'm trying to. Then we had another day.
Pardon me?
We had a second day that was set up to continue.
I asked you if you would disagree that Ms. Popple said that it was not included in the evidence viewing. Not whether you got to it or whatever, but whether when they said we want evidence viewing, Ms. Popple said it was not part of the evidence viewing.
I don't know if it was or wasn't.
Would you disagree with her is what I'm asking.
I really don't know how to answer that.
Thank you.
Body cam footage from when Troy Teskey came into the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office and handed over ammunition was played for the judge. In the video, Troy tells them he's a retired police officer and that he has some evidence. He says he should probably write down what that is. He says he should probably fill out a witness statement or something too, involving the Rust trial. He said he had been called as a defense witness in the Hannah Gutierrez Reed trial and that he brought the evidence to them, but that at the last minute they decided they didn't want it. He said he doesn't care what they do with it. He just doesn't want to have it. He tells the story of how he had been contacted by Seth Kenney and Officer Hancock after the shooting and how he told them about the ammo he has. He said he sent them photos of it, and Seth Kenney said, yeah, this is evidence from the accidental shooting. He said they're from the same batch as the live rounds. After the video played, Prosecutor Morrissey decided to call herself as a witness.
You don't have to say anything under oath if you don't want to.
No, I'm happy to.
Okay, so not only happy to, I don't, it doesn't matter to me whether you call yourself as a witness. It doesn't matter to the defense whether you call yourself as a witness. So if you're calling yourself as a witness, there's no one here that's requiring you to be called as a witness.
The information, everything that happened in this regard, especially as it pertains to me, needs to come out in the public.
All right, so you're calling yourself as a witness.
And I am, and it was my understanding that the court indicated to me previously that you wanted me to testify. I understand you've now changed your mind. I think it's a good idea if I do it. Where would you like me?
Okay.
Do you want me here at the podium?
No, on the witness.
Okay, sure.
Prosecutor Morrissey got on the stand and went over everything again. Alex Spiro then asked her a few questions. He started by going through various people who had been working on the case who had since quit. Another prosecutor, a paralegal, an investigator. And then he asked her about Prosecutor Erlinda Ocampo Johnson, who you heard earlier in this episode giving the opening statements for the state.
Erlinda Johnson, the next prosecutor selected, resigned from the case today.
She did.
Based in part on the conduct we're here discussing, correct?
I believe that Ms. Johnson Ms. Johnson didn't want my understanding is that she didn't agree with the decision to have a public hearing.
He asked her if it's true that she didn't turn over the evidence that they're talking about today.
Let's take it one at a time. I did not turn over the report. I didn't have a copy of the report. The rounds that were left at the Sheriff's Department by Troy Teskey, I have absolutely no reason to believe that they are relevant to the incident that took place on the set of Rust. These are rounds that were in the possession of Thel Reed and never left the state of Arizona.
You also did not allow the defense to view that evidence at any point during our request to review evidence in this case?
I had never seen it, and I didn't realize that it wasn't under the same case number because I'm not a law enforcement officer and I don't work at the Sheriff's Department. But you are right.
And you concede that they are Starline Brass Silver 45, right?
I can. And this is the best evidence against Hannah Gutierrez.
Yeah, you said that a couple of times. Any favorable evidence you understand as a prosecutor has to be turned over to the defense, correct?
I do.
Any evidence that could be used as a defense to potentially be favorable has to be turned over to the defense.
Absolutely.
She again reiterated that she has no reason to believe that the ammunition from Troy Teskey was related to the shooting.
The truth of this matter is you don't like Mr. Baldwin very much, do you?
You know, that is absolutely untrue. I actually really appreciate Mr. Baldwin's movies. I really appreciated the acting that he did on Saturday Night Live, and I really appreciate his politics.
You told one of the witnesses who disagreed with you during an interview that you thought Mr. Baldwin was a cocksucker.
I do not recall saying that. I know that that was something that Mr. Baldwin would say on the set of Rust. I don't recall saying that.
Do you deny that under oath?
Without having more information, I can tell you that I do not recall ever saying that. And if I did say it, I invite you to point it out to me.
You called him an arrogant prick to another witness.
To who? To what witness?
I'm asking you, did you call him an arrogant prick during a witness interview?
I don't believe I did. I don't recall.
You deny that?
Without knowing what you're talking about? All I can tell you is that I can't respond if I don't know what you're talking about.
And you said also to witnesses that you would teach him a lesson.
I never said to witnesses that I would teach him a lesson. Absolutely not. In fact, Mr. Spiro, I want to give a full response to your question. I made every effort in this case to resolve this case with your client in a very favorable way for him. All
right, I'm going to move to strike this. It's not responsive.
It is responsive.
I don't want to talk about plea negotiations.
Yeah, and it's not responsive. So I have no further questions.
Judge Summer didn't take a break or call for a recess. Instead, she announced her decision, saying the state willfully withheld evidence and that it was intentional and deliberate. If this conduct does not rise to the level of bad faith, it certainly comes so near to bad faith as to show signs of scorching, she said. She granted the defense's motion to dismiss, and she dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning Alec Baldwin can never be charged in connection with this case again. Alec was in tears as he hugged his family. And later, prosecutor Erlinda Ocampo-Johnson appeared on the Chris Cuomo show, saying that she resigned from the case earlier in the day, in the middle of the hearing, because she had no idea that the state had withheld evidence, and she felt that the state should have dismissed the case right then and there. And that's all for this episode. Make sure to follow Court Junkie on Instagram @CourtJunkie and on Twitter or X @CourtJunkiePod. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.